When you are hosting a World Cup, the noise from the outside world rarely stays on the outside. As the tournament approaches, the media scrutiny intensifies, fan expectations compound, and for the players on the pitch, the mental space physically closes in. For the United States men's national team, that external noise reached a fever pitch early on. They had just stumbled against Bolivia to draw, leaving them under huge pressure to prove they belonged in the top tier of global football. There is a predictable psychological trap teams fall into when faced with intense stress. The anxiety translates directly to their feet. Players freeze up, retreat, and collapse into a defensive shell, hoping to survive without making a catastrophic mistake. That was the exact scenario waiting for the U.S. squad as they lined up in the tunnel ahead of their match with Paraguay. Every player knew exactly what was on the line. They had reached a mental breaking point. They were either going to crack under the weight of an entire nation's expectations, or they were going to find a way to use it. Instead of folding, they stepped onto the grass and dismantled Paraguay in a 4-1 rout. To understand why that's so impressive, you have to look at the puzzle Paraguay presents. This is a famously rigid, highly organized defensive unit specifically built to frustrate teams and punish faltering opponents. The United States coaching staff and players converted that nervous energy into a physical strategy, actively channeling their anxiety into a suffocating tactical approach. So, how exactly does a team map their own psychological dread into an aggressive, on-pitch geometry that shatters a structured defense? The answer lies in the high block press. Instead of retreating back to protect their own goal, the team pushes their defensive starting line as far up the field as possible, suffocating the opponent deep in their own territory. On this tactical map, the American forwards surge up the pitch, engaging the Paraguayan defense near their penalty box. Behind them, the midfield moves in lockstep, choking off every passing lane. The defender is forced into a panicked pass, triggering an immediate U.S. interception. Compare this aggressive, forward-leaning posture to the conservative retreat we saw earlier. Instead of absorbing blows, the Americans dictated the terms of the engagement. By dictating the physical geometry of the pitch, the U.S. squad successfully took the massive psychological pressure they were feeling and dumped it squarely onto the shoulders of the Paraguayan backline. Folarin Balogun was the designated focal point of this system. His role was to hover at the very edge of the defense and exploit the chaos generated by the high press. Halfway through the match, the trap snapped shut. The American midfield suffocated the ball carrier, forced a rush decision, and stole possession right outside the Paraguayan box. In this freeze frame, the turnover's aftermath leaves the recovering Paraguayan backline fragmented and disconnected. A massive pocket of empty space opens in the center. Without hesitating, Balogun calculates the trajectory, slicing directly into that isolated gap and perfectly splitting the center backs. The final pass finds him perfectly in stride, and he delivers a clinical finish, a powerful strike into the back of the net. The goal serves as proof for the entire system. While Balogun provided the execution, the opening was a direct result of the collective strategy to pull the Paraguayan defense apart. When the final whistle blew on that 4-1 victory, the immediate tension dissolved. The coaching staff's aggressive game plan had been entirely validated on the pitch. Zooming out to the broader landscape of the 2026 World Cup, a performance like this forces international scouting departments to rethink their approach to the U.S. squad. Future opponents can no longer rely on the USA to collapse under tournament stress. Opponents must now prepare for a team that utilizes high-stakes environments as an engine for an aggressive, suffocating offense. By converting psychological pressure into a lethal tactical press against Paraguay, the USMNT has shown a blueprint for how they can manage the immense stakes of 2026, turning the weight of expectation into a functional advantage on the pitch.